It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friend. Somebody reached out to me and they said, Ray, you think Canon will get rid of their direct operations in the same way Konica is getting rid of theirs, the same way Ricoh got rid of theirs? The answer to that question is absolutely. The major OEMs in the space are going to struggle trying to run direct operations. So let me get on my board here, ladies and gentlemen. I got the 5 logos up here, and I want to talk about these players a little bit. The first thing I want to do is I want to put a big X through HP, because I think if you're a dealer and you're selling print equipment and supplies and services to end users, the last thing in the world you want to do is sign this HP Amplify program. I think it's a terrible, terrible thing. I don't really care what some vice president of HP Amplify thinks about how great that program is. I care about what all the dealers think about the program, and I care about the threats that program causes dealers. I mean, what are they saying about that thing real quick? They say something like it's going to help our dealers be more profitable, and we're going to help them be better business people if they give us all their data. Sounds to me like they want you to go work for them. Anyway, scary thing. Instead of buying your business, they want you to work for them while you're in your business, and then eventually they'll take over your business without giving you anything. Something to think about anyway. But let's talk about Xerox for a second. Xerox, I said it before, I don't see them as an OEM. I do see, and I do realize they make some production equipment. That's a small part of their business. They're the $7 billion dealer. They'll pick and choose what products they want to sell and market into the marketplace. Remember a year ago when I was talking about Konica getting rid of their direct offices and going to Xerox? You know what? I was thinking about this the other day. Nobody squashed that rumor. Nobody squashed the rumor about Konica Minolta's direct offices being spun off. It didn't matter whether it would go to Xerox or go to other dealers. The point was they were going to get rid of direct operations. Nobody squashed the rumor a year ago. We didn't squash the rumor till actually after they started getting rid of direct operations. Seems kind of ironic to me. Anyway, let's talk about Ricoh. Ricoh, what did they say back in 2017? We're getting out of the direct business because it costs too much to deliver. We're a manufacturer. It costs us a lot of money to deliver this equipment with dropping volumes and dropping hardware revenue, dropping service revenue. It's too costly. We want to move upscale, enterprise. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? We want to go into the enterprise space. No, Ricoh really just wants to be a damn manufacturer. I still believe they get together with Kyocera. What a great marriage that would be. And think about it, friends. Ricoh said they're going to drop their print business, to 25% of their revenue, and the whole world went crazy, and then they had to go back on this campaign about saying how they made a mistake. They didn't mean to say it that way. Why didn't we ask them this? Are you going to 25% of your revenue because you're going to turn it all into wholesale dollars? In other words, you're just going to be a manufacturer. You're going to get out of that space completely. You're going to focus on delivering customers other products and services, while at the same time, you're going to have a manufacturing business that feeds somebody else, like a Kyocera as an example. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something to think about. But they're not going to sell like it's still 1990. They said that back in 2017. They just haven't finished yet. Canon, they're going to do the same thing. And the reason I say this, I want everybody that works in these direct operations, other than Xerox, because I don't see them as a direct operation, I see them as a dealer, okay? So let's just forget about them. But if you're at Canon, Ricoh, Konica Minolta, in all reality, all the other manufacturers too, over this last year and a half, what were you learning? What questions were you asking of each other and of your sales teams? You know what? And I'm gonna throw a kudos out there to Oscar over at Kyocera. He put an article out on LinkedIn the other day, and he was talking about, the 2020, 2021. He's talking about how he kind of sees Kyocera in the future, and he's just kind of, throwing some stuff out there. Good for him. He's a leader in the image channel that can actually write original content and put it out there for the public to read. He did say some things about remote printing, which I thought were a little bit nutty, so I put a comment on there very professionally and nicely and just said, I think you're spot on with your talking about how you got to diversify. He talked about e-commerce. I mean, he was talking about some neat stuff. But I don't think remote printing is going to be anything our channel wants to do without a serious change to the business model. So we got to make sure we address how we're going to do it, if we are going to do it, because we can't do it with a 1980 or 90 business model. But you know what? For the most part, I think these OEMs, they're trying to figure out what's going to be printed. What's going to be printed? Back in 2016, I put an article on LinkedIn, and, the article was simple. It was titled, "It's Official, the World Prints Less Than They Don't Print." And I believe it was probably a little before 2016, when the amount of pages that were consumed in a digital landscape outnumbered the amount of pages that were consumed in a physical landscape or printed pages. And the question I think all the OEMs should have been asking over this last, year and a half is go find out from our customers what they're not printing and what they'll never print again. But we can't ask those types of questions because if we ask those types of questions, it's too scary. It's too scary. We'd rather continue to try to drag the past to the future. We want to talk about how we're going to scan millions and millions of documents. Folks, the scanning of the documents is already done. And future business processes are not going to have things that have to be scanned. Think about DocuSign and the millions and millions and millions and millions and hundreds of millions of pages that stayed behind glass because of DocuSign. Think of all the pages that stayed behind glass because of the ease of moving information from an iPhone to your TV on the wall, to your interactive board, to your computer. Folks, we need to find out what's not going to be printed. And quit focusing on what the hell's going to be printed. Whatever's going to be printed, you're going to get. The threat is the stuff that's not going to be printed. And the stuff that's not going to be printed might lead you into the proper diversifications, right? I want us to think about our friends here at Konica for a second because you know what? I got a circle. And I'm going to put up here number 1. That's a 1, folks. They were number 1 in the diversification of products. Okay? So I know they're happy for a second. I just gave them some kudos. But in all reality, my friends, it doesn't matter when you go to the grocery store of diversification and fill up a buggy with all this different diversification. And if you think about Konica, all covered went in the buggy 10 years ago. Penetration testing, security services, voice over IP. They even went down and found an ERP system on the bottom shelf and threw that in the buggy. The problem is they got the buggy out in the parking lot, loaded up the van, went back to the office, and they couldn't get the customers to eat what they bought. And when we start diversifying, if we can't get the customers to eat what we bought, we're going to find ourselves in trouble. Just like Konica found themselves in trouble. And the writing's on the wall. Can these OEMs that are so focused on products actually deliver services that don't even include products? Folks, I'm telling you right now, you better watch that company Xerox bought called Care AR. Care AR, that augmented reality service platform, is a phenomenal platform. I've talked about this a couple of different times, and no, Xerox isn't paying me to talk about it. Okay? It's just a cool product. And it's going to change service, not just in the print industry, in a lot of industries. And we got to start thinking about what are these OEMs' plans really going to be, other than the delusional people at HP that believe they're going to disrupt the A3 marketplace with their A3s. I hope they still don't say that. I got to where I don't even want to read their articles anymore because they're so crazy. But at the end of the day, are they still saying that, folks? I hope not. But the OEMs, they got to make some decisions. Canon, 45% of Canon's business comes out of this business office printing, okay? This office printing stuff. It's only 45% of their business. What are they going to do? Are they really going to run direct operations when they're watching Konica having a miserable time at it? They're watching Ricoh having a miserable time at it. In all reality, Konica diversified the most. They diversified the most and it didn't work. And I know they're saying they want to focus on, major markets. Ricoh said that too. Let's focus on the major markets. Sounds like the sales rep. The reason Bill sells more than me is because his customers are richer. His zip code has more money in it. Well, that might work for a restaurant, but in our business, all those people buy products and services. And in Konica's case, you filled up a buggy full of stuff. The problem is, it's not about the location. It's not about the location, folks. It's about the customer. It's about what are you going to deliver the customer persona, a clearly defined deliverable, not some half-assed defined deliverable. Go in there and talk about upgrading that copy machine, and while you're at it, see if we can sell them some backup service. That's not going to work. What do I got out in the car? Go out there and look in the trunk. I think we got some backup services. Maybe we could do some email migration, see if that's still in there. We could sell that to them right now. If you close by Friday, we'll throw in IT security training. Folks, none of that shit's going to work. None of it's going to work. If we make our deliverable about print, it's going to be a disaster. Unless we just want to sell print. And if we just want to sell print, we better figure out how we're going to service print a whole lot cheaper than we have been doing it, because obviously service revenue is declining. We better figure out how to deliver the equipment a whole lot more efficient than we have been doing it, because obviously the hardware dollars are going down and down. We're switching from A3 to A4, except for the people that HP wants to sell. They want to get all the A3 business. But at the end of the day, we got to change the processes. We got to change the model. And I don't believe these OEMs can do it. They can't. We'll see. And maybe some of the smaller ones, Kyocera, Sharp, Toshiba, as they all start to figure out what they're going to do and how they're going to look in the year 2022 or 2023, what products they're going to sell and service, how they're going to run their direct operations, because they all have some too, smaller ones. But at the end of the day, you better not be following these three. I mean, this isn't going to work. You can't lose money. You can't just fill up a shopping cart. You can't just want to do something. You actually have to go execute on it. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things coming to our channel. But maybe in the future, starting like today, we should be talking about what could happen based on what should happen. Maybe our analysts need to get more involved in future projecting so they can help the dealer channel, even the OEMs, think about what could be based on what should be. It's real easy to wait till it all happens and then talk about why it happened or why it shouldn't happen. It's a whole lot more interesting, and it causes a whole different conversation when you talk about it before it happens. Like I said, nobody squashed the rumor that I said a year ago that Konica would get out of the direct business, did they? Just something to think about, my friends. We got a nice weekend in front of us. Enjoy the weather, because we all know this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all on Monday.